The war had ended. Football returned. But for Chelsea, stability did not. The 1920s would bring ambition without silverware. The 1930s would bring stars without structure. And the 1940s would test survival itself. This was not the era of glory. This was the era of endurance. After the First World War, Chelsea resumed life in England's First Division. Stamford Bridge remained one of the country's largest stadiums. The crowds were still loyal. The expectations were still high. But consistency? Still missing. Chelsea often finished mid-table, exciting, watchable, but never quite title contenders. Among the standout figures of the 1920s, Andrew Wilson, a prolific forward who became one of the club's key scorers. Bob Whittingham, an earlier goal threat whose legacy still echoed in this era. Tommy Law, a reliable attacking presence. Chelsea had goals in them, but not yet greatness. In 1924, the inevitable happened. Chelsea were relegated from the First Division. Once again, the club found itself outside the elite. But unlike some clubs that collapsed in crisis, Chelsea retained something powerful: support. Stamford Bridge still drew crowds that second division clubs could only dream of. And in 1929-30, Chelsea earned promotion back to the top flight. Hope returned. The 1930s were glamorous. Chelsea became known as one of England's most fashionable clubs. They signed stars. They attracted attention. Most notably, Hughie Gallagher, a legendary Scottish striker, signed in 1930. Alex Jackson, another major Scottish international. These were headline signings. Big names, big expectations. But trophies? Still none. Chelsea reached the 1932 FA Cup semi-final, only to be eliminated by Newcastle United. Despite attacking talent, defensive frailty and inconsistency haunted the club. They were admired, but not feared. Throughout the 1930s, Chelsea regularly recorded some of the highest attendances in England. Stamford Bridge could hold over 80,000 spectators. Yet league finishes hovered around mid-table. The club had identity. It had visibility, but it lacked structure. This era built Chelsea's reputation as a club of flair, without silverware. Then, history intervened again. In 1939, the outbreak of World War II suspended competitive football. Chelsea players enlisted. Stadium use was limited. Normal league competition ceased. Regional wartime leagues replaced official tournaments. For the second time in a generation, football stopped. Chelsea's growth was frozen once more. When football returned in 1946, England was rebuilding, and so was Chelsea. The post-war years were difficult: financial strain, aging squad, competitive First Division. Yet Stamford Bridge still roared. One symbolic moment came in 1945, when Chelsea hosted Dynamo Moscow in a famous post-war friendly that drew a massive crowd and global attention. It was chaotic. It was dramatic. It was pure Chelsea. But domestically, the club continued to hover around mid-table finishes. By 1950, Chelsea had still not won a major league title. However, something was beginning to stir. A new mindset was coming. Between 1920 and 1950, Chelsea experienced relegation, promotion, star signings, missed opportunities, war, rebuilding. They became one of England's most supported clubs, but not yet one of its champions. The foundation had been laid. The lessons had been learned. And in the 1950s, a man named Ted Drake would change everything.